And we know for sure that the big spending programs of the New Deal did not work. In 1940, unemployment was still 15%. And it's widely agreed among economists that what got us out of the doldrums that we were in during the Depression was the beginning of World War II.
Okay. Senator, unemployment in 1933 was 25%. So getting it down to 15% was technically a very large improvement. You want to see what this looks like in pictures, in case that would make it easier? This is a picture of GDP, gross domestic product. The New Deal started in 1933. That's down there at the very bottom. Within 3 years, the national GDP exceeded the level it had been in 1929. By the time we got involved in World War II, the GDP had been up every single year except for that little problem in 1937. What happened in 1937? Oh yeah, FDR hit the pause button on the New Deal and did what Republicans are suggesting that President Obama do now, cutting spending and stuff. The only time FDR wasn't helping get us out of the Great Depression was when he was doing what today's Republicans argue should be done. So sometimes the arguments against the stimulus don't make sense. Exhibit A, Michael Steele. Sometimes the arguments are wrong. Exhibit B, Mitch McConnell. And sometimes the arguments are completely disingenuous, known to be wrong by the person speaking at the time they are saying it. Here's Exhibit C. Right? Let me show you something that the Bureau of Labor Statistics just produced. This was posted online today by the Speaker of the House, but it is a Bureau of Labor Statistics source here. Check this out. This shows jobs lost over time in the last couple of recessions and the current one. Here's the 1990-1991 recession. This is what it looked like. At its lowest point, we were down like 1.6 million jobs, and then we started to climb back up. This is the 1990-1991 recession. Here's the next one. Next recession after that was in 2001. This is the one that followed the 9/11 attacks. You can tell this one is worse, right? It takes longer. It's deeper. We go down to 2.7 million jobs down. It's at its lowest point. Now, here's the current recession. The green line there. Look at that. Look at that. Only 13 months in, and we've got 3.6 million Americans without jobs. Look at that. It's off a cliff. 3.6 million Americans, a national unemployment rate creeping toward double digits. We have already lost 1 million more jobs than the last recession in half the time. That is how bad it is. That's the reality of the crisis that President Obama and we Americans have inherited. Unprecedented in modern history.
Here's Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell Friday on the Senate floor.
One of the good things about reading history is you learn a good deal. And we know for sure that the big spending programs of the New Deal did not work.
Do we really know for sure? Was the New Deal a raw deal for the country, or do we have something to learn from FDR? Joining us now is Jonathan Alter, Newsweek senior editor, MSNBC analyst, and author of The Defining Moment, Franklin Roosevelt and the First 100 Days. Jonathan, well, first of all, what do you make of what Republicans are up to in criticizing FDR? Are they right or are they wrong?
Well, they're trying to twist history, David, to make their point and to use it as an argument against Barack Obama. It's bad history. It's actually ridiculous history. If you look closely at it, I don't know what Senator McConnell thinks got us out of the Depression. I think he knows that what finally lifted us out of it was spending that was done to prepare for World War II and to help our allies starting in about 1940. That was
well, let me
spending.
Stop you right
that
there
was
and
not,
put some, let me put some statistics up.
Yeah.
Here's the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Unemployment in 1932, 23.6%. Then in 1933, when Roosevelt takes office, 24.9. It goes down to 21.7, 20.1, 17.0 by 1936. GDP, of course, at 58.7 goes to 56.4 once Roosevelt takes office, then up to 66, then 73, then 83. If you look at production, production also increased all the way to 1937. The Dow tripled. What is it about these statistics, Jonathan, that people are trying to fudge here? It seems pretty clear that the New Deal spending helped.
Well, it helped. It did not end the Depression until World War II. But here's the point. What ended it was spending, government spending. It was not tax cuts. It was not the Republican old-time religion, the old failed solutions of the 1920s and of the last 8 years. It was big government spending. That's not debatable. What is debatable is whether, with a different mix of policies, maybe the Depression could have ended sooner. Remember, he was in for about 6 years before the Depression ended. But what even those statistics that you showed don't reflect is that initially he took unemployment down, Franklin Roosevelt did, from 25% to 14%. Huge gains. Then it drifted back up again. The economy was in a much deeper hole than we're in today. But even those statistics don't reflect the government jobs like the Civilian Conservation Corps and the WPAA. Those millions of jobs aren't even reflected in the unemployment statistics of that time. So the real numbers are actually significantly lower than those that you showed. So the idea that the New Deal failed is ludicrous. And all you have to do is look to the election returns of the time, David. The American people in 1936 overwhelmingly re-elected Franklin Roosevelt with the biggest margin since George Washington, and he carried all but 2 states, Maine and Vermont. Now, if the New Deal had been a failure, as the Republicans are telling us it was, do you think that the American people would have so overwhelmingly re-elected Franklin Roosevelt and then re-elected him twice more?
I agree with you. Jonathan Alter, Jonathan, you're absolutely right. We're out of time in this segment.